Welcome to Mr. E Defense Academy, presents Concealed Carry Basics, Part 5, Shooting Fundamentals. Different sources will list different shooting fundamentals. Fundamentals are the basic processes that you need to go through when shooting a handgun or other firearm. For our purposes, the three most important shooting fundamentals to remember are grip, sights, and trigger. Now, in the Utah Concealed Firearm Permit curriculum, they list 6 fundamentals. We'll talk about these briefly. Hand grip. Operate the weapon repeatedly without changing grip. Body position, the least amount of body and weapon movement. Breath control, control breathing to minimize body and firearm movement. Sight alignment, the relationship of the eye in alignment with the rear and front sight. Trigger squeeze, the ability to apply increasing pressure on the trigger and allow the hammer to fall without disturbing the sight alignment. And follow through, stabilizing recoil, maintaining grip and stance, regaining front sight focus, resetting the trigger, and preparing for follow-up shot if a threat persists. Hand grip. So you can see in the illustrations here, there is a beaver tail on the back of the semi-automatic handgun. You want to put the web of your hand as high up on the beaver tail as you can. So the V between the thumb and the forefinger, place that as high on the pistol backstrap as you can. Pistol is gripped with the base of the thumb and the lower 3 fingers. Grip pressure straight to the rear. Trigger finger is placed along the frame. Remember, you never put the finger in the trigger guard or on the trigger until you are sights on target and ready to shoot. The support hand, sometimes called the weak hand or the non-dominant hand, is then brought up. You wrap the support hand fingers around the shooting hand fingers, bring the heel of the support hand firmly against the heel of the shooting hand, and apply some firm pressure there. Notice that for the semi-automatic handgun, the thumbs are pointed along the slide downrange towards the target. For revolver, the thumb placement is just a little bit different because of the nature of the mechanical issues of surrounding a revolver. Body position, sometimes called stance. There are 3 stances here we're going to talk about briefly: isosceles, weaver, and modified isosceles. A shooting position is the platform from which all the shooting fundamentals are executed. The position should be comfortable, balanced, relaxed, and properly aligned with the target. Isosceles, pistol is held with a proper grip, feet are shoulder width apart, weight evenly distributed, legs are straight, back is straight or slightly leaning forward, head is erect, arms fully extended, pistol is brought to eye level, and then the shooter is relaxed and comfortable. This is the isosceles. Weaver stance, developed by LA County Deputy Sheriff Jack Weaver. Feet are in a position in a boxer stance, so the strong foot is rearward. So if I'm right-handed, my right foot is a little bit rearward. If I'm left-handed, it's the left foot that goes a little bit rearward. The weak shoulder is angled towards the target. Knees are flexed and the body weight is carried slightly forward on the balls of the feet. Elbows are bent downward to bring the gun closer to the body than in isosceles. The head is tipped slightly to view the sights. An isometric action is employed between the strong and weak arm for stability. The recoil is absorbed through the bent elbows and isometric pushing and pulling between the strong and support hand. So basically you push with the strong hand and pull with the support hand. That's what that isometric action is that it's talking about. So you're going to do kind of a push-pull. So it's a boxer stance, the strong side foot slightly back, you're leaning slightly forward, knees are slightly bent, push with the strong hand, pull back with the support hand. That push-pull stabilizes the handgun. Then there's a modified isosceles, which is kind of a combination of the two. This position incorporates the natural, fully extended arm position of the isosceles with the stability of the asymmetrical boxer stance foot placement of the weaver. Allows for better recoil absorption. The head is level, body leans forward slightly. So you just have to keep that strong foot a little bit behind, and otherwise, so it's kind of the bottom half is a weaver and the top half is isosceles, kind of what it looks like there. Breath control. Breath control minimizes the body movement produced by breathing, which can impair good shooting. Take a breath before each shot, let out enough air to be comfortable, then simply stop breathing while firing the shot. Avoid holding your breath too long, this can cause tremors. Sight alignment refers to the proper relationship of the pistol's front and rear sights. With post and notch sights, in other words, a post in the front and a notch in the rear, the tops of the front and rear sights are even. The front post is centered on the rear notch. This is sometimes referred to as equal light, equal height. Equal light meaning the amount of gap on the left and right side of the front post that you see through the rear sights is the same. So equal light on both sides. Equal height, top of the front post is in line with the top of the rear notch. Equal height, equal light, equal height. When shooting a pistol with iron sights, visual focus should be on the front sight. We call this front sight focus. This will leave the target slightly fuzzy and the rear sight slightly fuzzy as well. But it's clear enough to establish proper sight alignment and sight picture. Also strongly recommended to learn how to shoot with both eyes open when shooting a handgun. It does take a little bit of practice, especially if you have hunted with rifles or things like that before where you're used to just a one-eyed shooting. The both eyes open will help you. Here you can see that if the target is in focus, then the sights are blurry. If the rear sight is in focus, then the front sight and the target are blurry. The correct position here is to have the front sight in sharp focus and the target and rear sight slightly blurry. Some pistols come with a red dot sight, which is basically on top of the slide, there's a window with a red dot that shines. And so what you do with this is your focus is on the target. So rather than having a front and a rear sight that you have to align with the target, you basically look through the window, find the dot, put the dot on the target, press the trigger. There's just one thing to find. It does simplify quite a bit, the aiming process, but that's it. So this is a target focus, whereas iron sights, remember, is a front sight focus. So many people find the red dot sights a little bit easier, especially if you're a beginning shooter, to use the red dot sights because you just put the one dot on the target and press the trigger. Trigger squeeze, the next fundamental, or trigger control. This is the proper method of activating the trigger to minimize any movement that can misalign the sights. The trigger is between the fingertip and the first joint of the index finger, squeezed straight rearward in a smooth, continuous movement. Sometimes this is called press the trigger. And you just kind of press the trigger. The trigger squeeze should produce a surprise break. Trigger squeeze and sight alignment are done while maintaining a minimum arc of movement. We are human, and no matter what we do, there's going to be some slight movement of our sights. And so we want to learn how to minimize that, but you'll never get rid of it 100%. And so you get, well, during that arc of movement, press the trigger. Here you can see some examples. The left example is the proper positioning of the finger on the trigger. If you go too close to the joint, you end up pulling the firearm to the right. If you go too far towards the tip, you end up pushing the firearm to the left. Really what you need to do is just practice and find the comfortable position that works for you, where you're able to get the best grouping possible. Follow through. Follow through is the continuation of the application of the fundamentals of shooting through and immediately after the firing of the shot. Follow through enables the shooter to integrate, maintain, and continue the shooting fundamentals before, during, and after the shot. So those are the fundamentals of shooting. And again, the three most important are grip, sights, and trigger. So having a good grip, knowing how to properly aim with your sights, and controlling the trigger, those are the fundamentals of shooting.